Hello, my name is Amanda Hayes. I wrote about the song Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival. The lyrics are attached in a Word document. This link will be attached to watch a live performance of the song. The song was written and recorded by, it was written by John Fogerty and it was recorded by him and his band, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Just a little background on John Fogerty is that he grew up in El Cerrito, California. His brother is also in the band, Tom Fogerty. They grew up with their mother. She was a school teacher. Their father left when the boys were very young, and his mother and father were both alcoholics, and there were a lot of financial troubles while they were growing up. Their first band was called the Blue Velvets. John Fogerty's brother joined the band and they renamed it The Visions. Then they were signed by Fantasy Records, who they recorded an album with, their first album. When they received it, it had the name The Gollywogs on it, and this was apparently because the record company wanted them to seem like they were from the new hip British rock invasion. So during the making of Proud Mary, John Fogerty decided that he wanted to have, complete control over their output, and he wanted to write and sing all of the lyrics to the songs, which caused a lot of resentment by the rest of the band. The band also thought that they should make a lot more money when they started having some success with the hit Proud Mary, and they wanted John to talk to the record label. He did, and basically signed a deal to purchase 10% of the stock in the record label, which equaled like zero money, and for a 10-year contract, and also to store money in an offshore bank in the Bahamas, which basically led to the downfall of the band because they were plagued by tax issues after that, and then the resentment for John just grew and grew, and the band eventually split up in 1971, and John Fogerty went on to enjoy a successful solo career. So information about why the songwriters wrote the song. The song was written about David Eisenhower, the grandson of Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was dating Julie Nixon, the daughter of Richard Nixon, and he hadn't been drafted or served in the military at this time. Fogerty says that you'd hear about the son of a senator or a congressman who was given a deferment from the military or a choice position in the military. They seemed privileged, and whether they liked it or not, these people were symbolic in the sense that they weren't being touched by what their parents were doing. So I think that that's really the point of the song. It's really kind of ironic that John Fogerty wrote this song because he successfully avoided the draft himself. When he was drafted, he joined the National Guard, because if you're already in the military, you can't be drafted. So they basically backdated when he joined the National Guard, and when his unit was set to deploy, he went to great lengths to avoid it, and even starved himself. And when he received a medical evaluation before deployment, they told him that he had dysentery and was unfit for service, so he was discharged from the military in 1968, which ironically is the same year that he wrote this song about people who are draft dodgers. So, was the song a popular hit? The song was a major hit. It made it to number 14 on Billboard's Top 100 in 1969, and the album, Willie and the Poor Boys, made it to number 3 on Billboard's Top 200. Fortunate Son was also named number 99 on Rolling Stone's Top 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, and Creedence Clearwater Revival was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. The political, social, cultural context for the song. When Fogerty wrote the song, it was shortly after the Tet Offensive took place, which was a strategic attack on American military soldiers in South Vietnam. And when this happened, um, the death rate rose a lot, and so Americans were just starting to really have a distaste for the war in Vietnam, and were starting to become against it more widespread. This year, also, Richard Nixon was elected president. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Andy Warhol was killed, and there was a lot of they were still dealing with a lot of race relations and also the emergence of the feminist movement. When it was released, the year that the song was released in 1969 was the same year that the first man, Neil Armstrong, walked on the moon. The protests against the Vietnam War in Berkeley, California, and at Harvard University faced crackdowns by the National Guard and the police. This was also the year that Charles Manson and the Manson family committed the murders of Sharon Tate and others in Los Angeles, California, attempting to spark the race war, Helter Skelter, motivated by the Beatles songs. Also, Jack Kerouac died, and Timothy Leary was arrested, the first psychologist to scientifically investigate the effects of LSD. Which movements for social change does the song most closely represent? While it's generally thought to be a protest song against the Vietnam War, it's actually protesting the draft process and the people who are exempt from military service or the draft process based on their socioeconomic status. There's actually been a lot of research done about this subject, and Wilson found that actually proved that participants in a study whose fathers had less than a college degree, a four-year college degree, were twice as likely to fight in the war than any person whose father had more than a college degree. They found that participants of the study whose fathers only had a high school diploma or who hadn't graduated from high school, 38% served in the military. Participants whose father had a four-year college degree, 28% of them served in the military, and only 19% of participants in this study whose fathers had a graduate degree served in the military. So it's pretty clear that the majority of the people that served in the military were from the lower classes and were from people whose parents were less educated and therefore probably made less money. So that's really interesting. Let's see. What large changes were happening in technology that may have affected the way the song was disseminated? The main thing was the entrance of television into people's homes. This gave people the opportunity to actually see things that were happening, and it gave them, it definitely sparked more emotions in people than when they were reading about it or just hearing about it on the radio. Also, the radio was much less regulated at this time and played a lot of anti-war anthems. Also, even the Armed Forces radio was available to soldiers overseas, and songs like Fortunate Son and other songs that were against the war were played even there. And also the emergence of the 8-track, which made it possible to kind of, allowed portability of music and more of a sharing environment of music rather than the record player, which is pretty big and bulky and pretty much only good for inside your home. So basically, I kind of went a little off with this too. If if the song were if this were happening today, and if the song were distributed, I wrote about how I kind of thought that with internet radio and headphones in particular, that the song may not have had such a strong effect. Because websites like Pandora and Spotify give you a selection of music based on your preferences that you enter, and it kind of doesn't allow you to hear music that you wouldn't choose, basically. Also, there are so many songs available to us, and there's so much out there that it's probably not likely that we could be really mentally affected by all of it. Fleischer claims that at one time, if a person liked a song or a band, they would purchase the record, and he goes on to describe, the attachment to these records that we have by feeling it, and holding it in our hands and actually purchasing it. Now there's so much free digital media out there. You can just skip and skip and skip forever. So that's really interesting. Also, headphones is a big one. If it's a lot harder to share music when we're sitting next to people and we're both listening to a set of headphones, and that are connected to our individual selections of music. So the song was really popular, and it definitely was a really great depiction of the stratification of classes at the time. Though there's still, class stratification today. It's more of a volunteer army, so it's not really much of an issue of the poor man fighting the war. But I really enjoyed this assignment, writing the paper anyways, and learning about the song. It was really cool. Yeah, the end. Thanks.